This is an overview of Global Fiberglass Solutions process and systems that they use to recycle fiberglass. First of all, the vision of Global Fiberglass Solutions was to remove much of the recyclables, or actually items that can't be recycled, and make those recyclable items such as fiberglass, carpet, and other types of composites. There's been a green movement more and more to recycle fiberglass and other recyclables. And with the landfill space filling up in the US and especially around the world, it's a great time to be in the business of trying to recycle other items besides the classic bottles and cans. You can see this is basically how it works. We eliminate the liability of industrial fiberglass, and in doing that, we create new jobs, we provide income to investors, generate clean, green materials out of that fiberglass, and reduce costs. So we have a sustainable product life cycle. We started with wind blades, and wind blades that are damaged by weather or mechanical failure are collected, and then they're decommissioned and actually shredded and grinded in to FRP, or fiberglass, that can be used in the creation of other items like railroad ties and subway ties and Jersey barriers. You can see here, it's shredded and then grinded into the FRP that you see right here. The products remain in service for decades beyond typical products. A railroad tie is typically good for anywhere from 15 to 20 years, traditional tie, and a railroad tie that's made of fiberglass and composite can be in service for up to 100 years. This is a broken down diagram of the process that shows the fiberglass, or the ground fiberglass, is then added with green resins and binders, and then it goes into a press and form or extrusion mold, which is then cool and set, and it cools and sets much quicker than any other type of press and form composites. This is an example of a 2x4 made from fiberglass and carbon fiber. And here you can see that the same composite being used to make a granite countertop, and you can add any coloring to it that you would like. So you can actually take this fiberglass composite and with different color additives make just about anything that you would need for as far as building materials go. Once again, this just shows the process of the FRP being blended with resins, put into a mold, cured, and then used to manufacture. In this case, you can see Jersey barriers or railroad ties or even utility poles. The end products are environmentally safe, and even though they have extremely long lifespans, at the end of those lifespans, they can then be recycled again. And as you can see, there's no VOCs, no curing ovens needed, and there's nothing leaching into the groundwater. All of this is then tracked, and we have a system that's called Blade Tracker, which is actually going to be called Source Tracker now that we're getting fiberglass from all different sources. And certificates of deconstruction are issued, and then the EPA endorser program issues certificates to these companies that are supplying the fiberglass so they can show that their fiberglass is being recycled and used in green manufacturing. This is an example of one of the WasteWise endorser certificates. Here's an example of decommissioning that would also go to whoever our clients are that are using this system. This is just a very basic diagram that shows the fiberglass is collected, recycled, and then moved into production for the sale of green products. And you can see here in this slide, it shows an average waste facility has about 500 commercial customers. On average, about 100 pounds of fiberglass per customer, 10 pounds of carpet, and 10 pounds of other, what are currently non-recyclables, but become recyclable using this process. So that comes out to about 60,000 pounds a month. Now, if that was to be transported to a landfill, it would cost about 12.5 cents a pound to the landfill because it never does decompose. Then you have the transportation charges of moving the fiberglass to the landfill, so it would cost about $9,000 a month to dispose of 60,000 pounds of fiberglass and other non-recyclables. Well, that same 60,000 pounds, using a license with Global Fiberglass, it's a $2,000 a month licensing fee to be able to use the technology that we've developed and the systems, and then using rail, which has 200,000 pound containers, the transportation cost would only be about $1,667, about $1,700. So instead of $9,000, it would be more like $4,100. So the savings per month by going green and recycling fiberglass as opposed to putting it into landfills is about $5,000 per month per recycle center, or per every 500 commercial customers, which ends up being about $60,000 a year. And as that goes up to 10,000 customers or 20,000, you can see that that savings becomes substantial in the millions of dollars per year. This is just a graphical presentation of those same numbers, and you can see the green is the amount of fiberglass being recycled. The red is what it would cost to send to a landfill, and then the blue here is what it would cost using a license with Global Fiberglass to recycle that fiberglass and those other non-recyclables. Now you can see from this slide that we can take on a lot of fiberglass. I mean, on a monthly amount, if we were only doing 500 subway ties, freight ties, manhole covers, guardrails, and bollards, even just 500 per month of each of those would take up over 3 million pounds of fiberglass per month. So, and the demand is much higher than 500 per month for those items. So we have the ability to use millions and millions of pounds of fiberglass per month. This just shows some of the state recycling tax incentives, and you can see here for most states in the country, they have tax incentives when you recycle as opposed to using landfills. There's also IRS credits, and then the Environmental Protection Agency has credits or rebates that it gives as you're recycling. So there's additional savings over and above the savings of using a landfill. And then the Department of Energy, and as I mentioned, all the states have different programs for companies that recycle as opposed to filling up the nation's landfills. So this is a perfect match for Waste Management, which is probably the largest collector of waste in the country, being able to take a good portion of that waste that is now non-recyclable and convert that not just to being recycled, but also being used in the creation of green products that will be in use for decades. So the partnership between Global Fiberglass and Waste Management, we think, will be a great partnership.